Hey everybody, welcome to Shortwave.Me. I'm Brian. We are the home of real, interesting radio, and boy do we have a treat for you today. We are going to do a combination of an unboxing and a review of this fine piece of equipment right here. This is the CountyComm GP5 SSB 3rd Generation General Purpose Radio, 2017 edition. And I'd just like to thank from the outset Nick and Mike from over at CountyComm.com for providing us this radio for review. And we're going to use it for a giveaway over at Shortwave.me. So you're going to want to make sure you go over there, and we'll give you details on how you can get registered for an opportunity to win this radio. We're not going to waste a lot of time. Let's just jump right into it. This is the new GP5 SSB radio. It is made based on a continued request, CountyComm says, for an excellent quality general purpose information radio. Now, it says these radios are remodified for a specific client request with the help of Edison Fong, PhD. They said we have a few left over to offer for consumer preppers, and by preppers, if you know anything about that, that's basically folks who want to be prepared in the event of an emergency, or just to make sure they have the ability to communicate with the outside world, or at the very least to be able to know what's going on in the outside world. And a good radio receiver is always a good thing to have among all the other equipment that you might want if you are an emergency prep person. As always, remember to have a radio and be prepared. These are changing times that we're in. This box is what came in the mail after I spoke with the folks over at CountyComm. And this is, while it's going to be an unboxing, I have to confess I did pull it out of the box, threw some batteries in it to make sure everything worked. But I put everything back in the same condition that they sent it in, just so you can kind of see from the get-go. This is not standard issue right here. This is from a related company that the folks at CountyComm also own, called Meritech, and this is a case for the radio, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But you can see it's it's kind of like those sports wallets that were really popular in the late 80s, early 90s, with the, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's got the Velcro opening on it. It's also got a metal clip that kind of doubles either for throwing on your belt, or for running a belt through it. So we'll get into that in just a second, how that comes into play. I'm going to set it to the side for just a moment here. And let's go ahead and get into the business of the business. Let's get this thing open and let's see what we've got. So when you open this box, and again, it comes in a box like this, and as we mentioned earlier, CountyComm is primarily a company that deals with the government, and they make products for the government. They don't make a lot of radios, but this is one that they do make. And I think you're going to see, and I think you'll probably agree with me, that this is something they need to do more often, because they do a heck of a job with this radio. I'm excited to tell you about it. This is far and away an excellent HF communications monitoring system, and it's in a unique handheld form factor. The list price on this, and you can buy this from CountyComm.com, is $89.95 new. This is the exact same radio as the Texan PL365, which, good luck on finding one of those on Amazon. I've tried, and you can't. So you're either going to have to buy one off eBay, buy one independently, or you can go to CountyComm.com, which is what I'm going to recommend you do, and pick up one of these. The radio does cover the medium wave spectrum, shortwave spectrum, and the FM band, also long wave. Unlike most radios in this price category, this actually covers not only shortwave and continuous shortwave from 2300 kilohertz to 30 megahertz, but unlike most of them, this also covers single sideband, both lower sideband and upper sideband modes. Comes with a BFO, which is highly unusual in a radio, not only this size, but at this price point period. It's got, among other things, the easy tuning mode, ETM. If you have had a Texan radio recently, and I've got a few, you'll know that Texan does put the easy tuning mode on there, and much like a lot of other shortwave aficionados, I thought it was kind of a gimmick, but I got to tell you, it makes listening to your radio a much different and much better experience. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. It gives you quick access to all local stations as well as shortwave. It's great for the traveler. It's got 450 regular memories as well, 100 for AM, 100 for FM, and 250 for shortwave, which is primarily here what we at Shortwave.Me are intrigued by and interested in. And another unique feature of this radio is it does have a high sensitivity external removable AM ferrite antenna. The radio itself actually does have an internal ferrite antenna, which is serviceable, but for serious listening you're going to want to use the external because, well, one, it's better, and number two, it is directional. So it actually allows you to null out local stations that may be overly powerful, particularly when you're doing some listening at night to some of the clear channel stations that are still in existence on the AM band. This CountyComm GP5 SSB, it even has DSP, digital signal processing, which does really improve the clarity and the tonal quality. And it's even got an adjustable sleep timer. So let's go ahead and get into what's in the box, and then we'll actually review the radio itself. As with most products, it does come with a handy manual. This one, of course, does make note of the fact, and I hope you can see that, FM stereo is included on this, as well as, and that's through headphones, of course, medium wave, shortwave, single sideband. This is the operations manual. It has all the specs on the back of it. Of course, you can kind of look through it. Gives you instructions on how to work with memories, delete them, how to tune the radio, the sleep function, setting the alarm time, turning off the alarm. I think you're going to be blown away by how much is actually packed into this little unit. So we'll set that aside because, it's an owner's manual, and we want to get into playing with the radio. I'm going to save the radio for last, but here's what comes with this. First off, you do have a set of earbuds. Very capable looking set, and they actually sound pretty decent from what I've seen in other reviews. Most radios come with a set of earbuds these days, and they're usually of throwaway quality. Not so with these. You're not going to be a record producer using these, but at the same time, excellent quality. So we'll set those aside. Also included with every good shortwave, you also have a 20-21 foot antenna. Now this end is, of course, for clipping onto like a tree if you're outside, so you can get it up in the air, which does greatly improve the sensitivity of this radio and the ability to pick up signals. And then on this side, you'll take note, it has a little clip that actually clips on directly to the internal whip antenna. This doesn't have an external shortwave jack or port. This just clips on, but I can tell you from all the other reviews that I've seen and read, it does a very serviceable job of getting the job done, so you can listen to better quality shortwave as well as FM. This is the unique antenna that we were talking about. This is your external ferrite bar antenna. This actually covers from 150 kilohertz to 1710 kilohertz, which means it's going to cover the long wave bands and the AM bands. It is a high sensitivity directional antenna. Now, obviously, if you live anywhere in North America, as I'm sure most of our viewers do, you're really not going to get a lot out of long wave. It just doesn't do it because we just don't have that kind of content around here. But you can see the frequency range there as it appears, and I'll show you how this comes into play. And then you have the radio itself. And before I actually get into the radio, I will show you that there's one other bit of goodness here in this box. This is being a little difficult to get out, so bear with me here. Like I said, I did have this out earlier and had no problem getting it out, but there you go. We'll set that aside for a moment. It also comes with a standard carrying pouch. It's made of similar material as the more durable one from Meritech, but this one is, and again, it's Velcro. It's just kind of a little slip-on pouch, no metal. No metal clip to speak of. I do like the fact that they have provided for vertical use or horizontal use, so you can use that as you see fit. But it's nice. Nick and Mike also sent this one for us to use as well. Again, that's from their other company, Meritech, and this is the Meritech Extreme. So those are the cases. And now on to the star of the show, which is the radio. And as I said, I did open this up a little earlier for the express purpose of making sure that everything worked on this, and it did. I'll kind of go through the buttons, and then we'll fire up, we'll throw some batteries in there and kind of move on from there. And I'm trying to keep the glare of the lights out. But let's go ahead and take a look at what this bad boy has to offer. Obviously, it's got a really nice size display right here. For a radio this size, it's actually rather large. Easy to read button, or easy to read screen. The buttons are actually pretty easy to deal with as well. We'll just kind of go right across here. You've got time, you've got display, you got the easy tuning mode, and again, we'll show you all these features. Alarm, memory, VF and VM, which are just part of the memory structure there. It's got built-in scan, a delete button, which also doubles as a 10K step. 9K, of course, if you're in Europe or overseas, 10K for the medium wave bands here in North America. This little green button here, that is what puts you into single sideband. You can see it says upper and lower sideband. And then the little red right underneath here, that is for the battery. You can actually use the radio to charge the radio, provided you have nickel metal hydride batteries. And then over here, the orange button is a BFO, and it also changes the step on the tuning as well, and also triple serves as FM stereo. So that gives you an opportunity, if you have headphones on, to be able to listen to this in FM stereo. On the other side here, you got your power button, medium wave selector, FM selector, and then the ATS, which is the automatic tuning system. These are the more standard memories that most of us are used to, which also serve as up and down for shortwave tuning and shortwave bands. So that's on the front of the radio. There's the speaker. Surprisingly good sound for a radio this small. Nothing, south of that except for the stamping, the GP5 SSB. One thing this does not have, and this has been the only knock on any of the other reviews I've seen of this radio, is it doesn't have a direct entry keypad. I think, honestly, quibbling over not having that is I don't know. I think that's kind of expecting a lot for a radio this size. Again, it's very serviceable, and you'll see it still has plenty of tuning options, so you can actually, get the radio, get it turned on, enjoy, and use it with the use of the memories and the ETM function, which I'll show you here in a moment. There's still plenty of ways to tune this thing. On the right-hand side, you'll see the tuning, you'll see the volume, and you'll see the DC 5-volt input. Basically, it reads in the manual, it reads 4.5 volts right here. Obviously it says 5 volts. Long story short, if you've got a cell phone charger or you just want to plug this into a computer to charge, you could do that, which is really handy, particularly if you're out and about, like on, say, a DXpedition. You've got your you got a power pack with you, or you've got your laptop with you. You can plug this in and get it all charged up. Left side, absolutely nothing. On the top, you see we have this telescopic antenna. This is actually about 1.5 feet tall, 1.5 feet long rather, I guess I should say. Works very well, surprisingly well for shortwave and FM. We'll get into that a little bit later. This center port right here, that is for this AM antenna that we talked about, the high gain antenna. It goes right there. And as I made mention of, when we first started, this is directional. You can actually use this to tune in AM radio, and you'll be able to null out the more powerful signals. You can take advantage of some of the farther away signals. And there's some caveats to this too, and again, we'll get to that here in just a moment. And then finally, your headphone jack. On the back, it does have a built-in plastic clip if you don't want to use the, the provided padded case that comes with it, and then the battery port right here. So let's not waste any time. Let's get some batteries in this. And I knew this was coming today, so I took the liberty of getting some rechargeable nickel metal hydride batteries, and I will just pop them in here. I don't think they were fully charged. I'm an impatient sort, so I just kind of went with it anyway. And we got that on there. And one of the first things you're going to see on the display when you first get the batteries in, now, you know, had I not had the batteries in here earlier, I'm sure it's got a capacitor in here that hangs on to, you know, residual charge, you know, to hang on to your memories and stuff. But when you first turn on, everything will be zeros. But you'll see here, the initial display is a clock, and then over here it's an alarm, and then over here it's a battery meter. So that's what you get when you first turn, power this up with batteries. As I made mention, you do have the ability to internally charge nickel metal hydride batteries, which is what this green button is for in that particular mode. So, you know, if you've got them in there, you can plug it in. Doesn't take terribly long to get charged, and then you'd be ready to go, you know, on your DXpedition or your bike ride or whatever it is that you're going to use this for. Now, one thing that's interesting, in the second generation of this radio, all the buttons were black. I absolutely love that they made the single sideband and the BFO buttons two different colors. I think that's actually really helpful where this radio is concerned. And I kind of like the touch of color that it adds here. I might also add that this tip right here is replaceable. So if you end up losing it, you can actually go to CountyComm site and you can order that. So enough jawing around. Let's turn this thing on. Let's see what it's capable of. So here's what I'm going to do, just so we can get a little something in. I'm going to go ahead and pull the antenna up just a little bit, and we'll get it turned on. All right, and I've got the volume down. Now while we're doing this, I'm going to share a few facts with you. First off, the battery availability here, the charge on this thing, you can listen for 225 hours at approximately 40% of volume. That's a 50% increase over the previous generations of this radio, the GP4L and the GP5 DSP. This radio is completely redesigned by CountyComm's engineers in the factory to you know, to be good for both survival and fun. Performance of this radio really does surpass a lot of radios that cost 2 to 3 times more, and you'll see that here in just a moment. As we said, FM stereo via the earphones. Frequency range, you'll notice, comes up at 87 megahertz. This is actually adjustable. You can set it up for 76 megahertz if you're in Japan or other parts of Europe, 87 or 87.5, and of course it goes all the way up through 108 megahertz. 18 inches on the internal whip antenna. 450 station memories, which we talked about. Now the multi-tuning methods, first off, you'll note we have the ATS, which is the automatic tuning system. You can utilize this and employ this, and this is what will store your stations in the you know, the 450 memories. These are static. These are they're going to be wherever you happen to go. What's most exciting to me, though, is the ETM, which I'm getting ready to show you, the easy tuning mode. As I made mention earlier, I used to really think this was kind of a gimmicky thing. But the more I used it, the more enamored of it I became. My Texan radios, several of that I have, the newer ones, they have the ETM on it, and I gotta tell you, it is a breeze to tune. You go where you're gonna go, or whatever time of day you're at, and you just hit the ETM, and I'll show you here in a second, it's going to scan every available frequency that the radio is able to pick up and store it in a volatile memory. Which means instead of having to push up and down to go to your individually scanned memories, you can just use the tuning knob and it'll go only to those stations where it has found what it thinks is a strong signal. And then of course, now I will say this radio does utilize the Silicon Labs SI4734 DSP chipset, which is an amazing chip. It's the same one that's used in the Texan PL380 and I think the PL310ET, but this one has the extra special capability of single sideband. Of course, you'll notice right off we do have a backlit LCD. It does have a key lock function, which you can enable just by long pressing the display button. You'll see the little key right there. We already talked about the external AM jack and you know, the antenna jack. So let's get to scanning this. We'll turn this up just a little bit. Again, not bad audio for a speaker its size, but in order to enable the easy tuning mode, you just press and hold that and watch it go. And what you're going to see is up here, you're going to see that number increase. That's the number of stations that it has actually found while it's doing its scan. This will take not long in the FM mode. In the shortwave mode, it takes a little bit longer. Okay, but you see right there, we've already got some music there, and I'm going to be real careful so we're not making the YouTube gods angry at us. But now you'll see over here when I go to tune, it automatically tunes to the frequencies that it's found. And you can see right there, it just goes straight to these frequencies. And again, what's really great about them is we don't necessarily have to wait around and say, oh geez, do I have a signal here or do I not? With this, you just go in and that makes the magic happen. And again, I'm not playing any music that I don't have to, simply because we want to make sure we we don't violate terms and conditions. But you can see right there, just goes directly to whatever individual stations. It's a really effective means of tuning a radio. Some other things you'll find on this particular screen, and of course the screen changes with whatever band that you're on, but you'll note up here, I like this. I didn't like it at first when I got my first radio that had the Silicon Labs chipset. This radio does not have a traditional S meter. This actually has a signal to noise ratio meter. You get the signal dB on the left, and you get the noise on the right. And so obviously the higher the left number is, the better, and the lower the right number is, the better. But it's really an effective way to kind of tell just how strong your signal is. So if we press the display once, you'll see over here we have our alarm. If you press it a second time, nice little ditty there. The temperature. This would be particularly helpful if you're out camping, or if you're like me, I work in a climate-controlled environment, and it's important because of all the computers and things where I work that they be kept at constant temperature. This is just another quick way to tell what that is. And then of course up here, which I really love, and not a lot of radios do this, you can actually have the time and the frequency on the same screen. So I really like that as well. So that is the FM band. Up next, let's take a look at the medium wave band. Okay, now when you choose a different band, it doesn't go off of the ETM. In order to get rid of the ETM, you just press this button here, hold it down for a second, and you'll see that that's gone. You don't have to worry about that now. You're in standard tuning mode. Okay? So, what's really nice about this is it's very sensitive on AM, and I'm just going to play a little bit. Oh, and one other thing before we play that. Take note here that when I'm turning the tuning knob, it goes in 1 kilohertz increments in the AM band, but when you tune it faster, it goes in 10 kilohertz increments. So that's kind of handy. So faster tuning doing it that way. So we have a local station on 560 AM, so we'll turn it up just a moment here.
Told Elvis this, that he couldn't believe what a small world it was that he raised me in California.
Okay, so you have that. Now let's put our high sensitivity AM antenna on top. When you turn it on,
points with me immediately because
okay, and you can see our meter is showing around 34, 35. What's really great though, again, is you can turn the antenna to increase the signal strength because this is directional. Okay, so there you go. And if 560 were a clear channel station as it is in some areas, it's not in my area, you'd actually be able to tune the antenna to null out the local or to null out the clear channel station. And again, the ETM function does work here as well. Now, one quick note I did want to make about the external ferrite antenna here. There are places, and I read this actually on Thomas Witherspoon's blog, swling.com. I never know what to really call it, but there are aftermarket vendors who are actually selling oversized aftermarket AM bar antennas. And these are large ferrite bar antennas. The good news is it does increase the sensitivity and the ability to null out unwanted signals. The bad news is, however, on this GP5 radio, the weight of that aftermarket antenna does cause the AM bar antenna input connector to break internally, which is going to make you end up losing all AM reception. You're going to have to rely on the internal ferrite antenna, and it'll avoid your warranty. So word to the wise, and I don't see very many people in their YouTube videos talking about this, I would not purchase the aftermarket antenna. That said, it's your show. You do what you want to do. And if you want to spend the money on it, just understand that does void your warranty, and they're not going to help you out with that. Should that happen to take place. Some other facts about the radio. Of course, we've talked about the frequency bands: FM, medium wave, which is AM, shortwave, and the long wave frequency band. One note about long wave: not a lot of that here in North America, and it's available for 9K tuning step only. Okay, so you've got that. And then, of course, we've talked about everything else. The dimensions on this: 6.2 inches tall, 2.05 across the top, and then the width of this is really slim. It's less than an inch thick. It's just over 3/4 of an inch from here to here. It's not heavy. Without batteries, it's 85 grams. With the batteries, it's not really a whole lot more. The speaker is a 40 millimeter speaker. It's 4 ohms, half a watt, which is actually 2 times the output of the first generation GP4L. And then, of course, the earphone jack also goes in there. So anyway, that is the basics of this radio. Now, the one thing we haven't looked at is the one thing that we're focused on, and that is shortwave. And the reason I haven't put a lot of stock into showing you the shortwave capability, at least not on this video, is where I am located. We're shooting this from a location in my house that has a lot of RFI. We've got a mix and mash of bulbs as we're making our way towards trying to be more energy efficient, but I've still got some CFLs and some LEDs, and they cause quite a bit of RFI. I don't know that we'll pull anything out of the ether tonight down here, but I'll give it a try. So we'll go ahead and switch to the shortwave band, and we'll turn this up a little bit. And I'm actually hearing a little bit of something there. Here you go. Not real clear, but that's Radio Havana, Cuba. And you can kind of offset tune this. When you offset tune this, you can actually use ECSS and actually get a really good signal. And then finally, the one thing I did want to show you is on the ham bands itself. And what I'll do is I'll do this at the 3916, which is a Freewheelers network. And so when you tune this on, of course they have to have their mics keyed up, but you can actually hit this, which puts you on single sideband mode. Use the BFO to select, and of course I think they're lower sideband, but use the BFO, and then you can tune it in, fine tune it right there, make it easier to listen to. But folks, that's about it. That is the GP5 SSB. And like I said, we'll be featuring this radio in a giveaway at Shortwave.Me. I appreciate your patience as we go ahead and did this. But thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we are Shortwave.me, Shortwave.me. Real interesting radio. We'll look to see you over on the blog, and make sure you sign up for the giveaway. Have yourselves a fantastic day.